You can literally lose thousands of dollars trying to buy a house and not even get it. You could spend $2,000, not even win the house.
No.
And almost nobody tells you this before you start.
So first and foremost, finance, because you can't do anything without finance. There's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of noise from the agents and the vendors to push.
So if you're buying your first home, you need to understand this because there's a very specific order this process follows. And most people don't mess it up at the end, they mess it up right here.
Without finance, you can't do anything. So it's kind of pointless engaging a lawyer, going through the process of your due diligence without knowing that you can at least got some shot at getting it.
That makes a lot of sense. Like when we were going around, we were looking around places, and then we would spend half a day looking at different houses and realize pretty much 3 of them were out of our budget.
And that's the first thing you do as a purchaser, right? How much is it? How much have I got to spend? And if it's out of your budget,
Not wasting time.
Wasting time.
I think from my experience, it was the excitement of actually going around and seeing all these houses was really fun.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, it gets pretty boring pretty quickly looking at houses every weekend. You're working Monday to Friday, then you're going to look at houses in the weekend, and then you're working Monday to Friday, and you're going to look at houses. Like, it's very boring after a while. When you go into the bank, just from my experience, and obviously what I specialize in, is that the bank can sometimes say no. It doesn't mean that you can't get a house. It just means you got to look at alternative ways of financing that. So there's a couple of companies, got Avanti Finance, Pepper Money, good second tier companies that will lend if you've got only 10% of LVR or 10% deposit, or the credit score's not looking amazing. I think I got it. Cut it with the chipper.
All right, there you go. Oh.
Remember when I said I almost lost thousands and got nothing? Well, that's this. The different ways to buy a house. So you said you got all these different names: deadline sales, tenders, auctions. Could you run us through each of those?
Yeah, sure.
Understand them?
Yeah, it's a minefield. So, especially for first-time buyers. So, auction is probably one that people are quite familiar with, and an auction means that you are deemed to. So, if you purchase at auction for say $1 million, and you put your hand up, and there's 4 other bidders, and you're in a bidding war, and you win, it means you are unconditionally obliged to settle, and that means you're deemed to have done all of your due diligence, including finance approved, you've done your building report, you're completely happy with the property. And then you've got the deadline sale. It means that on 5 p.m. on the 18th of March, you must have all your best offer into the real estate agent. So it can be completely unconditional to give yourself the best chance, which means there's no conditions contained in the agreement. But in this market, typically we will see at least a finance and limit a building report condition. And then you've got a tender, which is similar to a deadline, in that you have to submit your offers by a certain date. Okay. That's an amazing drive.
We either need to hit it against that bank so it kills it because it's right at the front, or no, that's pretty much all we can do. So when we did it, we had no idea about auctions. You had no idea that you had to be unconditional. We had no idea that there was actually quite a lot of costs involved to be prepared before you even go into an auction. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to win it. So you could spend $2,000 on preparing everything, not even win the house.
No.
So we've got our finance. We've found a house. Now, as you said, the most complicated part, and the one you've got to really be careful of, due diligence.
So first and foremost, building consents. So whenever any work is done on a property, and if a building consent is needed, you must apply to council for a building consent and then subsequently get what's called a co-compliance certificate. And that's where the council signs off and says, yep, the work's all done in accordance with the building code, and it's all signed off. So it's really important for me as a lawyer to see that everything has a co-compliance certificate.
Yes, we saw quite a few houses that had unconsented work.
So banks and insurers sometimes don't like unconsented work. So LIM report is it's called a land information memorandum, and it's from the council. So often as a purchaser, the agent will provide you with a LIM report. What dovetails into that is insurance. So as part of your due diligence, calling your insurance company and making sure that, hey, I'm purchasing 123 Wood Street, can you just check that you'll provide insurance on it? So your bank will want to know that you've got adequate insurance in place with no big natural hazard exclusions or electrical exclusions or anything like that.
When you found that house and you're going into your due diligence side, that's when you come in. That's when the lawyer comes and gets involved.
And I always say to my purchasers, please don't sign the agreement until I've cast my eye over it.
All right, this is where it becomes official, because once you get to this point, you're not just looking anymore, you're committing, you're making an offer.
And then I also review the title. So there's a few different kinds of properties you can buy. Freehold, which is you own the underlying land and the everything. And then there's a cross lease.
Which is what ours is cross lease. Yep. Cross lease freehold.
Yeah, so cross lease is, so if there's 2 properties on the cross lease, it means that you and your neighbour all own underlying land, and you each take a lease of your dwelling.
It's really good to talk about that. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's good.
But it's like when we first had a look into the cross lease side, we were very nervous. We thought cross lease is like, no, you can't have this. You need freehold. And I think a lot of other people go through that as well. Is it really that scary?
No, but everyone gets scared.
Yes.
So yeah, totally understandable that you were like, gosh, what is this? It's all foreign.
You know, there's other cross lease leasehold for 1,000 years, and it's people still get nervous at that. And it's like, well, you own it for 1,000 years. Yeah. That's 10 generations.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to sell it before you get close to that.
999 years. And it's...
Is there anything else that we should really understand about sale and purchase agreement?
As a first home buyer, if you're using Kiwisaver, really important to, one, are you using your Kiwisaver for the deposit? So the initial 5 or 10% of the purchase process is payable when your conditions are satisfied, or are you using it for the balance of the purchase process payable on settlement? So it's really important because if you're using it for the deposit, the initial deposit, we need at least 15 working days with your Kiwisaver provider to get the money out. So we need to make sure there's enough time and it's written into the contract that everyone knows what's happening and everyone's in agreement, because the worst thing is if you're using it for your deposit, it has to be kept in the other lawyer's trust account until settlement, and there's a lot of promises that need to be made between lawyers.
So we made an offer, we've got acceptance, everything's going through. Now the unconditional part, how long can that take? Well, you know, what sort of can trip people up on that side?
It's a really good question. So a few things. One thing I commonly see is we negotiate on the building inspection. So what happens is you have your building inspection done and you've got you might have your finance approved, insurance checks out, the LIM's all good, the title's all good, the agreement's all good, but you get the building inspection done, or there's something in the LIM, or there's something in somewhere, and we might need to go negotiate. Typically what we do is either negotiate if there's small things for the vendor to fix them as part of satisfying the condition. So, hey, we will go unconditional and satisfy the conditions if you fix X, Y, and Z prior to settlement. If they're a bit bigger, so like a roof needs to be replaced or something big, we will negotiate a reduction in purchase price. Okay. If that all checks out, then we basically, you satisfy the conditions and...
All right, finish us off.
Then you pay the deposit to the real estate agent usually, and that's just done directly between you and the agent. And then following that time, there's usually at least 3 weeks between satisfying the conditions and going unconditional. So at that point, you then talk to your mortgage broker and lock in your interest rates. And I talk to you about ownership structures, and then the final bits and pieces we need prior to settlement. Go and put the beers in the fridge and, and unpack.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was really
wicked.
fun. Yeah.
Such a good day.
No,
thank you very much.
That was awesome. Thanks, Alex.